Hey there, welcome back to Borsidi. I'm Kurt, and today we're judging the second tier, the second round of the Try-Maker tournament. In the last episode of the Try-Maker tournament, I faced off against Kit from Skill Tree to make a beer mug. But today we have Eli from Geek Out Hobbies versus Skill Tree. The challenge issued by Geek Out Hobbies was that they had to learn to juggle and make something to juggle. Without further ado, let us watch the first video of the Try-Maker tournament, round 2 by Geek Out Hobbies.
It is time for the second ever Try-Maker tournament. This month, I wasn't using wood. Our challenge was actually to make some juggling balls and of course, learn how to juggle. The material I chose for this endeavor was denim.
Alright, so right off the bat we have an unusual material to work with, at least in a wood shop. Denim. It's brilliant material to use. I'm really curious to see what Eli makes of this. And just as a side note, you can also use denim and canvas and these similar tightly woven materials to help hone your blades or block planes or chisels or whatever you have. Usually used for razor blades, but it's really cool. I really am looking forward to this.
I got this denim from an old pair of jeans. The first thing I like to do when working with a new material is test it with some of my tools. I tried saws, chisels, my block plane, but I just couldn't seem to make a chip.
I'm just kidding. I know I have to use scissors.
Jokes aside, my first step was to cut a strip out of the jeans. Next, I had to use a stencil to make sure the shape of the ball would be very comfortable. I did lots of research to figure out what stencil would be best by picking the first one that came up on Google Images. I will use that outline later as a mark to sew along, for forming the ball. Before we can do all that, we have to cut out our blanks. I just made sure to cut out around the pattern, leaving enough room for stitching later on.
Special points for Eli for watching Family Guy while he's working.
To start the stitching process, I first needed to tie a knot at the end of the string. I began stitching at the bottom of one of the petals. You want to make sure that you're stitching in a way that doesn't close up the ball. I don't really know how to describe it, but when you're doing it on your own, you'll figure it out. Or you'll finish stitching and realize that you got your shirt caught in there somehow.
Happened too many times.
To fill the juggling balls, I left one little section open. I managed to pull the ball inside out through that small hole that was left and began to pack the empty ball with popcorn kernels. I found it's easiest and cleanest to place the empty shell into the container and fill the ball from there. Now for the final step of suturing the seam closed.
They feel pretty nice. I guess now it's time for the moment of truth, right?
Alright, so Eli made very simplistic, very basic juggling balls, which is amazing, and he made them out of denim. Again, extra points for using denim, first of all, as an irregular material, at least in my opinion. And secondly, it was from an old pair of jeans, which means there was a recycling element, using material which you would usually throw away. And that earns some respect in my eyes. Well done. Okay, so let's get to see how he juggles.
Here we go. I've been practicing a little bit off camera.
Alright.
Well, a lot of it off camera, so I've gotten okay at it, but definitely want to work up to 4 balls. But man, this has been a lot of fun.
All right, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this project and learning a new skill. Of course, I did know a little bit of juggling before we started this entire project. I was practicing a little bit earlier, but I definitely was forced to learn how to be a little bit better at the juggling. Whoa. Oh man. If you'd like to see any of the other Try-Maker tournament videos, I left a link in the description to where you can find the playlists for all of them.
That was pretty cool, I have to admit. Well done, Eli, well done. Wow, man, I'm really impressed with the vibe of the video, man. It was so positive. It looked like you had so much fun. You had so much fun juggling, which is, just for that, you're a winner. Let's see what Kit is up to. But if you note on Eli's video first. First of all, I like the simplistic tutorial kind of thing. It's brilliant. It's a project that anyone can get into without any major tools. You just need a needle, some thread, an old pair of jeans, and some popcorn kernels or lentils or similar hard, pebbly kind of granules. I wonder what would happen if he were to put one of the juggling balls in a microwave. Well done, Eli. It was a pretty good and interesting video. I really dig that. I really like it. It makes me want to sew. It makes me want to do something very similar. Definitely got my brain working. On to the next one.
What up, fam? Welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. Today I'm going to show you how I turned this hunk of beeswax into a Dragon Ball.
Okay! The anti. Whoa, okay. This is amazing.
Well, that's not exactly accurate. I turned it into 3 Dragon Balls. Then I'm going to show you how to juggle them. I know, it might sound really random, but I promise you it isn't. It is in fact my entry into the second edition of the... Now I could have gone with the simple route and used a ball that I already had to make the mold around. But since the challenge was to make a juggling ball, I felt it was a cop-out to start with a ball, so I decided to make a ball. Which led me to my first challenge, because making a perfect sphere is really hard. At least it seemed really hard until I found in my research the Japanese art of Durodango.
I love this. I love the fact that he's making Dragon Balls. And I also really admire Kit for really researching his stuff. It's something that I never do for my projects. And because I really love the raw feel of making something and making mistakes and learning from them. But his research clearly pays off. This Durodango thing, I've never heard of it before. It looks very interesting and I'm definitely going to look it up afterwards.
I began by breaking the wax up into manageable chunks and setting them to melt in this double boiler setup. You want to melt wax this way because it's highly flammable and putting it on direct heat is a really bad idea. And added it to my parchment basin, closing it up to make a little wax dumpling. From here you want to let it cool off completely so it becomes a solid ball of wax. Once solid, grab a jar with an opening that's a bit smaller than the circumference of the finished ball you want to make. Roll the wax potato in the mouth of the jar, applying slight pressure as you go. The edge of the opening carves away all the high spots, leaving a perfectly round ball of wax. To refine it further, find something with a smaller opening and repeat the process.
I am impressed. I never thought making a ball this way was possible. I actually was a bit concerned with how they would make juggling balls, but he's acing it.
So now that we have our ball, it is time to make the mold. To make the mold for our Dragon Balls, we first need to build a little box around this wax ball. For this purpose, I use pieces of plexiglass I had lying around. First, I need to surround 1/2 of the wax ball with clay. Once that's all smoothed out, I use this bolt to make keys in the clay. The keys will make sure that both sides of the mold fit together in the right position. Otherwise, 1/2 of the ball might be like off center with the other half of the ball or something. I also used a paintbrush to make a few smaller ones as well.
Very good.
Happy with that, I added my walls and used ribbons of clay to seal up any spaces and cracks, including all of the corners. Simply add parts A and B together at a 1-to-1 ratio and mix thoroughly, but slowly so as not to add any air bubbles. Then pour the mixture into your form until the ball is completely covered.
It's very important when mixing silicone in this way to make sure that you mix it thoroughly, because it has to be very thoroughly mixed. Otherwise, it won't cure properly. And trust me, I've had that fail for me last Christmas and it's a nightmare. One problem with this silicone that I can assume is that it is the same color. Both parts of the silicone are the same color, so you can't really see different colors. Some silicones, for example, come in different colors, like part A and part B would be red and blue respectively. So when you mix them, they make a purple. So you know that you would have mixed them thoroughly with no streaks in between. So make sure to mix it properly. As I said, try not to introduce air bubbles. But if you do and you have a degassing chamber, you can use that. If you want to go the expensive route and get a degassing chamber, you can remove all the air bubbles from the silicone mold.
Now, as the Dragon Balls have this orange tint to them, I add a couple drops of this So Strong orange dye to the part B liquid. And I added a dye to enough of the liquid to make like a couple of different balls. This way the color would be consistent across all of them. So on my first attempt, where the plastic should be looking like this, it looked like this. That's not clear at all.
Yeah, thanks, Kit. It's very important to see the mistakes as well. It doesn't have any bearing on the final product, but it really shows everyone that mistakes happen so often in the workshop, and you really shouldn't be discouraged by mistakes. You get frustrated, you get a little bit worked up about it, but at the end of the day, it's just a mistake. You learn from it, and you do much better, and you do much better next time.
Then, I slowly poured the mixture into the bottom half of the mold and added my stars. Finally, I placed the top half of the mold in place and filled it the rest of the way up. Now this number 2 ball here looks kind of Cookie Monster-y. The stars are kind of askew and looking that way. It's alright, Cookie Monster ball, I love you. It's gonna summon a really derpy Shenron. He's gonna be like, what do you want? In only like 10 or 15 minutes, it's time to pop that sucker open and release your creation. Keep doing this using finer and finer grit to polish the ball. By the time I got up to the 7000 grit, my ball had a nice glass-like finish. And there you have it, my first 3 Dragon Balls. Are they perfect? Hell no. But it's kind of cool that they're numbered by the stars because you can see me getting better. Like the first one is kind of cloudy and has a lot of inclusions on the outside. The second one, there are no inclusions on the outside. It's a bit clearer, but the star's a little wonky. This last one here, I made a little bit clearer. I went a little easier on the dye. There's still some bubbles in there, but it looks pretty good. Juggling, it turns out, is a fairly straightforward affair, as long as you break it apart into steps to practice.
Yeah, our resident rogue, I think, has a high enough dexterity to know exactly how to juggle.
Start by practicing throwing one ball between your hands.
Nice.
Make balls? Check. Learn how to juggle said balls? Big old check. Another successful TMT in the books.
Wow, what a round that was. I am genuinely impressed by both makers. On one hand, we have Eli, who made a very simplistic project. Balls made out of denim, which is a very traditional way to do juggling balls, I think. Using recycled materials, using denim, which is not a very usual material for someone like a woodworker, or it's not a very common material to get, come across in a workshop. And to, on top of that, we managed to juggle perfectly, actually. Also, I really like Eli's approach, where it's a very accessible skill, it's a very accessible project, which means that anyone can get into it with just a sewing needle and a thread and an old pair of jeans. Right, I am very, very happy with that. I'm very impressed with Eli. Nice, I like it. Well done. Well done, Eli. Moving on to skill tree. Skill tree used, I think it's the first time I'm seeing him cast something, to be honest. And casting in silicone is something that I really enjoy as well. So it's something, that I really enjoyed watching him do. Using the wax to make the master was a very good idea. Making a ball out of beeswax is certainly not easy, and he managed to make it look like it is. So kudos to Kit. Silicone casting is a very particular skill. It's not very difficult to get into, but it does require a bit of a knack. There is a bit of a knack to it. So the fact that he cast in silicone properly is a very good idea. The registrations were done properly, and the 2-part mold, which was done properly with the spout and everything. I am really inspired, but I'm really happy that he made Dragon Balls. Growing up as a kid, my brother and I used to watch Dragon Ball all the time, before school, after school, whenever it was on the television. God, there's so many good things to talk about. But a decision has to be taken, I think. As Eli said in his first Judgment video, that at the end of the day, you are the winner, of course, for being part of this project. But I think I have to choose one of them now. Eli, you did a very good job. I really am looking forward to seeing more of this kind of project. But I think the fact that kit made the Dragon Ball, I think that has to take the cake. Congratulations, Skill Tree. Well done, both of you. I am truly speechless at what you have come up with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys make in the future. I'm not just talking about Skill Tree and Geek Out Hobbies, I'm also talking to you, the maker, the viewer on the other side of this screen camera thing. Join us on our Discord server. Show us what you can make. Show us what you've been making, what you've been up to. We have a very nice community there, and they're all very nice people, very nice to have a chat with and to show off what you can do and even learn some things, which has happened to me before as well. Please go visit and check out these two great makers, Geek Out Hobbies and Skill Tree. Both of them are excellent people. They've got so many good projects on their channels, and I really encourage you to go show them some love. But now it is time for the challenge. Yes, that's right, the Trimaker tournament is a 3-part challenge. The first one was the beer mug, the second one was juggling balls and juggling. The third one is a challenge I will issue to Eli, Geek Out Hobbies. I challenge you to make something, anything, as long as the material, like wholly or part of it, is made out of EVA foam. EVA foam is the kind of material you would find in floor mats. It's widely used in prop making, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with. It's time I started planning. Be sure to check out other videos of the Trimaker tournament. I have the playlist linked down below. And yeah, keep on making stuff, and I'm really looking forward to see what you make. Thanks for watching, and make sure that you too participate in the Trimaker tournament, because everyone is a maker.